Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to my Flosstube channel. I'm happy to be here with you on the last day of July 2021, July 31st. It's a little bit late in the evening, but I had some stitching that I wanted to share with you, some things I've made, some things I've been working on, and just a little bit of plans. I have a giveaway at the end to announce the winners from my last video, so stick around for that. And let's go ahead and get started. I had focused on sunflowers a little bit this month as they're something that I enjoy and have always loved growing up in Kansas. That was part of the love, but this is something I painted last year on a chalkboard, and I used to do cross stitch displays on here, but now it kind of stays as a sunflower sign, and I copied it from a Michael sign that said pick your own sunflowers, and I put sow your own sunflowers because I can't grow things very well living here in North Texas. I don't have much of a green thumb, and it's very desert-like, so I have to sow my sunflowers, and that's what I did. This is my favorite finish this month. Excuse me, it's kind of big. I'd shown you partial bits of this finish by Sub Rosa on Etsy, and now it is complete. I had planned to make some sunflowers. I've made several of these, if you recall from my last videos last year, except they were a little bit more grungy looking, a little bit more brown, and I wanted these to somewhat coordinate with that floss used on the sunflowers. I really like the way she turned out. Her dress is the color Cognac, which is, I think, a Week Styleworks, and it's so pretty. I haven't seen a color quite like that. And the sunflowers are Week Styleworks Whiskey, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite flosses. It just works out so well. It has such pretty variegation. And the bees kind of go all the way to the edge on this finish of mine, but I was okay with it. I think it looked fine, and it really took some fiddling with. I wanted to put it in this planter. I'm not sure what these are called. I think they have a fancy French name, but if you're from France, I think I have a couple viewers. Let me know if you know what this is called. But I just was looking around my house, and this has been sitting empty. I think it had some makeup brushes in it or something. And I thought this would look so cute with some homemade sunflowers. I actually added leaves this time, which I've never done before, and the fabric on the leaves matches the top of the background there. So I really like the way they turned out, and I debated about a bow on top. I felt like it just needed a small little finish up top, and I used a piece of brown paper on the back to kind of disguise that, but the stick that this is piercing into the green floral foam was one of the batting push tools that come in the bag of batting, kind of a long spike. And so I just sandwiched it between the two pieces of mat board and pushed it down into the floral foam that I got from Dollar Tree. I had to prop the floral foam up a little bit. You might want to buy, like, if you want to do a similar finish in a pot, you might want to buy a couple of pieces of foam, because this was obviously pretty deep. But I have like a graham cracker box that I cut down underneath here, and it's pretty sturdy. I did my best to make sure that it's not going to be, you know, falling over, but I really like the way that turned out. So there is Sub Rosa's Sunflower Garden, finished on my own fabric that I dyed. It used to be green, and then I dipped it in charcoal, so I don't think I could repeat that fabric, but a charcoal fabric by Zweigart would probably be a good choice. And then the called for flosses. I switched the fence floss. It was supposed to be a lighter brown, but it's Swiss chocolate and it's fine. So it took a little longer than I expected. It's quite a bit of stitching. It's a little bigger than I expected. I thought it was more of a, you know, maybe a pin pillow size, but this is more of a sampler size. So I'll probably leave that up in my craft room year round. I won't put that away, but I really enjoyed it. The other sunflower piece, I'll stick with those first before I show you my ornaments for Christmas. I had almost finished this summer. I see a piece of glue here from the edging, but I had to fill in all of this portion down here when I last visited with you. So this was my second Prairie Seasons by Prairie Schooler. And of course, my working copy is all I have of this. So this is somewhat what the pattern called for. I changed the house. I think I said that last time. I changed it to teal, and I changed the door to red, and the lettering. I had this red window. This is what I had on there last time, was the spring. And I put little bits of red in the pattern that are already called for, but I just moved them around and wanted them to coordinate better with the fabric I had. This was the simplest finish. I really love it when you have magnets and all I have to do is slap that on a piece of mat board, and then I used, instead of rickrack, this time I used a lace that I'll show you a little bit later. I think I have it in there. But it was from Hobby Lobby. So it kind of has just a little pom-pom edge. It's not pom-pom trim from Lady Dot. It's just a piece of lace that I have all the way around. But I really enjoyed stitching this toward the end because the Monaco is not my favorite, but having it done after 2 years on my whip list makes me really happy. So there's Summer Prairie Seasons, and that is on the 28 count Monaco. I said that I do not prefer. It's not my favorite. But it's done. So the last sunflower finish I wanted to show you is just a little one, and I sort of got it on a whim from Heart and Hand. This whirligig, summer whirligig, is really cute, and I wanted some smalls for summer. The fabric I got is really interesting. I'll have another piece I can show you. It's actually called mustard, and I got it at Hobby Lobby. It's like I said, kind of a interesting color, but I was thinking of sunflowers, and I think this will look really pretty for fall. If I do the fall whirligig with the squirrel, I'll probably switch it obviously for Christmas, but I thought that it was sort of like an inverted sunflower. This plaque I found at the Goodwill. You can see there I got it for $1.99. It was kind of a bright gold, and I antiqued it with some stain that I used all over my house, like on this mirror in the background. I love that stain, and it coordinates a little bit better. I used that same lace that I used on my Prairie Schooler summer, and then I have some beehive fabric that's like black and white. I probably would have preferred like a check or a polka dot, but I didn't have it, so I just used that, and it looks fine. The mirror was showing behind. Let me see if I can get this off, because this is blinding you, but there's just a mirror underneath there that I thought, oh, that'll be good for a round finish, and so I stuck it in a cabinet, and it's been there for a couple years. So this was a lot of fun to stitch. It went super quick. I think I just made up my own colors by looking at the chart. I don't think I used any of the called for. I used like 3371 and 3865 for the white, and then I just used some reds that I had out. I think a few Victorian Motto samplers. So it's super quick, like I said, and I think there's a series of 4 of these, so I'll probably continue that. But that was my third, and I count it as a sunflower finish because it does have a sunflower there right in front of the rooster. My kids thought that rooster looked crazy, but she does look crazy in a good way. So those were my sunflower finishes. I kept them in my sunflower bags that I made from last year. I don't have any more of this fabric, but I did want to answer one question I had from a viewer from my last video, and I get the question over and over. When I talk about SARI silk, I use it all the time. I used it in the top of this Prairie Schooler summer. It comes from Etsy. It's spelled S-A-R-I. They use recycled SARI garments. That's a Indian wrap that the women would wear. They recycle them and they dye them. In this case, it's kind of a mustard color. And this other seller, these are bleached. So whatever color was there was removed. And they are a raw silk. So one viewer messaged me on Instagram, I think it was a couple months ago, but said, this looks awful. You know, whatever you got, I don't think mine was the same. And I actually imagine it might have been because when you get this product, I did show it last year, it comes in a big twisted tube of like 50 yards of SARI silk that has been tied together. And I don't see any of the joins. Usually I cut between the joins, but not always. Sometimes you can kind of disguise them. And until you get them out and iron them flat, they do look a little bit crazy. They look like just kind of rags. But the silk has such a beautiful sheen to it. You can kind of see that there. And it has such a kind of fluffy, just natural way about it that I don't mind that it's a little bit finicky when you first get it. But I didn't want to mislead anyone. If you are expecting the silk to look like this when you get it, it really requires more ironing and kind of picking out the pieces that are less joined together with knots. They do shed, and that is just kind of a natural you know, fiber. You can't really do much about it, but it doesn't really bother me, like I said. And if you kind of pick off the longer pieces, there's not a lot after that. So that is SARI silk. I'll put it up here on the screen, SARI. And I could list a buyer, but I've bought from several different Etsy sellers, and I think they're all pretty good. I don't think they would be on Etsy if they had a product that was really bad. So just give it a chance if you're interested in something natural and beautiful. And I wanted to answer that question. So let me show you the Jolly July ornaments that I completed this month, and I did them in the same finish because this is so simple. This ornament was my cross stitch camp challenge piece from Sherry, the Colorado cross stitcher. The virtual event she's doing this summer required 3 different projects to be started in the month. I finished this today, so I haven't put it on Instagram yet and tagged Sherry, but I kind of squeaked in under the wire. And I love the way it turned out. It's by Mkissacreations, my friend Marissa. She lives in Maine and she stitches with Helen D, so that's kind of our connection. And I bought this last year and thought it was adorable. The ornament, I don't have the cover sheet, but it is red. I changed it to a turquoisey kind of blue for my second daughter as a gift to her. And I'll probably write on the back. I haven't got anything on the back right now, but I'll write on the back from Mom to Sophia and put the details of the ornament in the year and things like that. So first time finishing like this, so easy. Like I really do appreciate it. The other one I told you about last month, I hadn't shown you though. Sorry if I'm shaking the table. I have a class, or I hosted a class with my church. I was asked to be in charge of our craft night, and I usually do a painting or a sign for Christmas, something like that. But I thought, okay, I think I can do some stitching. I want to try my hand at it. So this is an ornament I designed myself from a piece of my Lizzie Kate Christmas rules. I did an ornament, or I did an extra rule at the bottom last year that I showed you several times that said, remember, Jesus is the reason, just because I felt like that was a glaring omission in the original Christmas rules. And I basically just took that and reconfigured it in a 4-inch hoop. And I used a online cross stitch program that's free. It's called Stitch Fiddle. And it was a little hard to work with because it doesn't allow you to move things around. So you have to manually put in all the symbols. And as I charted it, if you want to stitch this, it will be in the link below. I will add it for you to stitch if you'd like. It's spread out a little better than this one. I got it a little bit close. But as you see things on your digital printout and then when you see it stitched, there's some differences. So it looked fine on the paper, but on the fabric, it's a little bit crowded, just one stitch crowded. There's 2 crowns on either side, and there's some straight stitches of hay. So I had a ladies group, like I said, of 40 women that I was attempting to teach. Some had done cross stitch before, no problem. Others had sewn and done a lot of embroidery, so they were pretty quick to pick it up. The chart was a little bit challenging for some because they're not used to counted cross stitch. And then I had some that didn't know how to thread a needle. So it was a very diverse group. I had some 6th graders. Yeah, 12 and 13-year-olds, a whole table of those. So I was just really thrilled to share the love that I have for stitching. I had some that said they would try to finish a project they started 20 years ago, or a couple that sent me the picture after they finished it. I hoped that it could be done in 2.5 hours, but we had a lot of yummy snacks, which don't mix with stitching, and so people didn't quite get it finished. But I had one that did, and I had 2 that sent me a picture later that evening. So it's a very quick stitch, 50 by 50, maybe 60 on one side, but very quick, and it fits in a 4-inch hoop that I got in bulk from Amazon. Putting the kits together was a whole thing. I had 50 needles, 50 hoops. I had to dye the Ada. This is just 14 count from Michael's that I dipped in camel. Is it camel? I always get confused. Yeah, camel RIT dye. So I didn't want it to be just white. I thought that might get dirty, so I tinted it, and it took the whole week. So it did take away from some of my stitching time, but it was worth it, especially to introduce a lot of young stitchers and those that had abandoned stitching to return. So thank you for letting me share those finishes with you. And if you would like to stitch the Jesus is the Reason ornament, I would love for you to tag me on Instagram or send me a picture via email. And it really made my heart glad to see people finish that. So thanks again for letting me share this, and let me get out the projects that I had worked on, and I will show you those. I had just a little bit of progress on a lot of these different goals that I had for the month. My month did not go as planned. If you've followed me on Instagram, you know a little bit more about what's been going on with my family and with my mom. I will type a little bit of information at the end of the video if you want to hang around and see what's been going on, but I really can't speak of it without getting too emotional. So just know I appreciate your prayers, and if you want to find out the details, you'll have to read it at the end of the video. I just know emotionally I'm gonna not be able to get it out. But this sampler that I started with my friends Rachel and Becky from Socks for Mom. Rachel is a Stitch and Be Well, and she made a new video recently. Thanks, Rachel, for doing that. I appreciated getting to see all of your beautiful stitching. I'll link both their most recent videos below. But we were so excited to start this together because it is a very inspiring sampler about not being afraid and about trusting that Christ the boat is keeping when the storms come. It's been so appropriate for my life lately, and has just imitated life for me. I guess I just left my needle right in the middle of this stitch. I did not want to put this down. That's always a good sign that you're going to want to return to a sampler, but it's really not very large. I did it on a quarter, eighth yard. I'll get it. Fractions, not my favorite. I did get one line of the though he seemeth sleeping. That's the whole breadth of the width of the sampler. And these motifs down here, I had so much fun. I've mentioned this, and you've probably heard that Becky Nolan, who reproduced this sampler, gave 3 different colorways. I was under the impression that the colorways were all the same colors, but with different makers. So like I thought that the Weeks and Gast and DMC would all be the same color. You would just get to pick from what you had, but that was not the case at all. When I ended up picking out my reds and my purple, I started to stitch it and I thought, I can't do it. It's just too bright. So that's the fun of it. You get to pick what you like. So that may be your preference, but I'm trying to find that purple. It's a really pretty one, the one I ended up going with. I found it on Stash Unload in a grab bag of Weeks Dye Works. I probably wouldn't own it otherwise, but it's called Merlin. And I don't know if you can see, maybe against this white, it's a very, very deep purple, but it turned out so pretty for the crown in the center there. And it's going to have some of the lettering in the center of the flowers. It's definitely a purple when you see it in person. So I was really happy about that. I had one of the purples that I used on Consider the Lilies. I think it's called Concord. And it was just kind of glaring. So I took that out. The other thing I wanted to show you is this beautiful floss for the lettering. I love variegation that's really evident in the lettering. That's not garish by any means, but it's definitely very variegated. And that was a floss from my friend Frankie at A Wicked Stepmother. I'm going to be giving away the banjo. I can't believe I kept saying fiddle. I think because of Hey Diddle Diddle, I kept saying fiddle in the video. And later I was like, oh, that's a banjo, clearly. But Frankie has been so kind to share her flosses. And this is kind of what I would picture if Murky from Picture This Plus were a floss. This would be it. It is so cool. Called Hey Jude. So I really wanted to see what it would look like, and that line of text was what I picked. I can't remember what the text is supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be like a green, like a kind of bright green, and I prefer this color. So that's the fun of picking what you want. But we started that together and have the Sal, I think the hashtag is, I'll put it here, Though She Seemeth Stitching. Rachel was very clever and came up with that. And I also had called it the No Fear Sal, because that's the message that came through to me about the importance of the message on the sampler and how we can trust that he may seem sleeping, but he is not. He has the boat. I have a little video of my mom and my son reading that scripture because a storm came in quickly when I was visiting her last. And so they sat down and read that scripture. I was like, did you know I'm stitching a sampler about that? So I'll show you at the end if I can get it to fit in. But that one was fun. And then I went ahead and participated just for maybe an afternoon on the Blackbird weekend sale. I always forget what that hashtag is, but the one with Laura and Brenda. And I love this piece so much. I don't have the pattern, I just have my working copy, but this is a Christmas garden. And I was able to complete this whole part right here. So I was really happy. I'm using white where the silver/gold color is called for. And I'm using green that is Caper by, who does Caper? Weeks Dye Works? I'm using a lot of Weeks this time. Yes, Caper. It is very brown, but it does look green on this. This fabric is by Vicki Clayton. She hand dyes it, and it's kind of a hit and miss whether she's listed it. I know I got several pieces when we first discovered that she was dyeing again, and I think these were pieces she had around. It's called Bird Feathers, 36 count. The slivers of linen, some of them are very, very thin, but I'm really not having too much trouble. It's 36 count, so I'm using one strand over 2 flosses, and the coverage is really nice, and I just really love that color. It's showing up so well right now. It's really hard to photograph because in photographs it looks really brown, but it's more of like an old brass. And my friend Christine has an Etsy shop, Hollis Hands Creates. She had recommended for me a fox and rabbit fabric that is similar to this, because the brash I recommended by Picture This Plus, another viewer picked it up and she said, I like it, but it's very variegated, and she wanted something more solid. So I will put below, I can't recall right now, but Christine sent me, she has a whole stash of fox and rabbit that she sells in her shop from time to time. So she sent me a picture, and I'll put the name of that. But this is Christmas Garden. I'm not going to be putting Christmas Garden here yet, but I'm not going to share with you just yet what it's going to say. It's going to be something a little more to my faith and to my preference about a Christmas sampler. So, oh, and I am using the natural silk on the white. It shows up so nice. It's called Pearl by Dinky Dye. I also used the natural, which is the bright white, but the pearl is kind of an ecru. And I've had so many people tag me on Instagram or just message me and say they love stitching with the white silk versus the DMC. It is just a different feel and it has better coverage. So a lot of y'all have enjoyed that tip, as have I. And so that one was fun. Like I said, mostly I was stitching on sunflowers this month. I worked a lot on my sub rosa and I didn't have as much stitching time. So these pieces just have a little bit of an update to show, but they're so pretty that I thought, why not? This is Shepherd's Sampler by Brenda Gervais. I actually am changing one element to have a heart on it for the Autism Awareness Sal with the Raspberry Stitcher. So I need to get to this part right here. Instead of the star, it's gonna have Jessie's heart because I didn't want to add another whip and I wanted to support that Sal. I just kind of incorporated that one motif in, so it'll be coming, but I did outline the rest of that shed. I didn't have that last time, and started in on some of the bricks. I did another sheep, but you can't even see it because it's so pale against this fabric. It'll be surrounded by grass, so it'll be like these guys. And I finished off the tops of my strawberries on that border. This is 32 count Lakeside. I think it's vintage buttercream is the color, but I've lost the tag and it was several years ago. I know I put it in my Mania videos 2 years ago, so I guess I could look back, but it's really fun to stitch on. And I like one strand on the 32, even though it's really light. Some people would think that would just be crazy to do, but it's turning out really pretty. And I accidentally picked up 2 strands on one of these sheep and it looks kind of bulky. So I'm like, this must be a tight 32, or I'm just used to what the 32 count looks like on this particular fabric with 1 strand of floss. I think it's going to be so pretty. So next month I hope to get more on that, but like I said, my month did not go as I hoped for stitching time, but I'm happy with what I got done. Sally Spencer got some work done on her, and again, my photo is upstairs. I think a lot of y'all have seen Sally Spencer before. It's not a very, or it was a pretty popular design about a year or 2 ago when they were doing the Sals, but this one was shared with me. It's out of print. I'm sorry about that, but it's so pretty. I went ahead and did Sooner Begun, Sooner Done, and put in those flowers. I started that second vase that wasn't finished, and I put in a few more letters. And I did decide, instead of saying wrought by Sally Spencer, I'm going to put Cindy Herpel, which is my maiden name, my family of origin. I'm going to date this, I think maybe 1982, which is when I would have been about 7. And I'm going to put my parents' initials on here and my brother. It's just the 4 of us. So this will kind of be like I was stitching this when I was 7 in 1982. Not that I did, but just to pretend. I love the quirky colors. This kind of makes the difference to me of a design that really stands out is, you know, gray leaves. Like, who would have thought of that? Or a red vine, but it just works. It's so quirky and folk art like, and I just love Birds of a Feather. They were, or I think it was a lady that's now passed on, but she was so talented and artistic. So I really enjoyed working on that. I keep that in my beautiful bag from Becky, my Birds of a Feather bag for our last sale. And that was pretty much it, other than, oh, one more, the Halloween rules. I had one friend ask, actually 2, where is the border piece for the Halloween rules? It actually, I can show you. This is a free print off from Lizzie Kate's website. It shows how to place the pieces. The charts have borders that you don't use necessarily. Some of them you do and some of you don't, but it shows you that here if you haven't seen this design before. She does that also on any of the long rule strips. She has Christmas rules. I think she does it on Jingles and Tingles, and also the 3-word. Different layouts like this she will provide on her website. And then this part, the top, there's no chart for it. It's just on her website. So she provides that. And I think the reason people were confused, and this may have been corrected since I looked, because when I got that question, I thought, well, it's on LizzieKate.com, but I tried to access LizzieKate.com on my phone, and it said her security badge had expired and it wouldn't let me click on it with my phone. So the website is fine, but I think she just let something that would maybe give your computer a little bit of an alert expire. So just be aware of that. I mean, if that really bothers you, if you've had issues with cyber, security, then maybe, I don't know what to tell you, but hopefully she will, got a gnat. Hopefully she will have fixed it and you can access it again. And you're able to, if you just say it's okay and you know that, it may not be a secure site or whatever, but I don't see how there could be any problems on it. I think it was just Lizzie Kate's been retired for a while, so this pattern is old. But it's a lot of fun to stitch and I've kept up with it pretty well. I was almost done with, here's the Mind Your Mummy. It's a little bit hard to read. I used some funky green coloring there. And then my cat needs to be finished with a broom and a, what else does she have? Oh, some little spiders. So it's really fun to stitch. There's Mind Your Mummy and there's the little cat. I love the way she does cats, and this little mummy has a, or it's more of a skeleton, but I guess it's what's under the rags of a mummy. That frog was so cute. Made me think of my friend Amy. And I'm hoping to get this done by September. If I continue with 2 blocks a month, I should be done with plenty of time to finish it because it is a pretty long piece and I'll have to mount it with some fabric. So hopefully I'll finish that. This is 8 blocks in, so making good progress. And then I want to finish my Christmas Advent sampler from Plum Street. I figure I'm just gonna do one seasonal piece at a time because I was getting too stretched between the two. So if I get Lizzie Kate's finished, then I'll have time for the ornament series, and it's very quick to stitch as well, and hopefully I'll have a finish on that. So thank you for letting me share my works that I have stitched over the last month. It wasn't as much as I had hoped, but it was a lot of fun, and I especially enjoyed the new sampler that I started. And if anybody wants to use the hashtag, I'd love to see you join in. Let me put this away and I'll show you a few charts that I picked up that you might have never seen before, and then a quick plan and giveaway announcement. So let me put that up. I'll be right back. Okay, I found some patterns on eBay that I had saved the search for from Theron Traditions. These are, I believe, out of print and quite hard to find. I may have seen it on Emily's before, but I'm not sure they were in stock. This was the, what does she call it? The Industrious Bee Sampler. It's sort of like a Rhode Island sampler with the 2 pots on either side. Sorry about the glare there. But I just thought that was so pretty. It has a lot of specialty stitches in it. With the sheep, there's some kind of fluffy stitch on that. And then there's also Queen's stitches, which I have never done. Is that what they're called? Yeah, the Queen stitch. And a cross stitch with a colonial knot in it. I'm not sure I'm going to attempt that. My preference for no knots. If you've watched me for any amount of time, I have a hard time with those. But I just wanted this in my collection because I haven't seen it in the 2 years that I've had it on my save, and it popped up. So I grabbed that one, and then it also included this sampler that I admired called the Vowel Sampler. Is that it? We've all seen lots of alphabets, the entire alphabet. This is the vowels only, and I love the colors on it. They're even prettier. The camera's not quite catching up or capturing these colors, but I love those colors. And I'm not sure about the rabbits in the grass. They're kind of random looking, but I definitely want to do that vowel sampler. And it's smaller. It's not much bigger than a Hawk Run Hollow. I always judge everything by a Hawk Run Hollow. If it's 92 by 92, then I think, okay, I can handle that because those are something I'm very familiar with. This one is a little bit bigger. I want to say it's maybe more of like an 8 by 10, and this one's just like a 5 by 7, 4 by 6. So I have 2 other of the Theron Tradition patterns from 1, 2, 3 Stitch, the schoolgirl one and the one with pins and needles with the strawberries along the edge. So I just really admire her designs. I know she had done some teaching in the past. I don't know if she still is, but she's very talented. So picked those up. Also picked up from my friend Christine while we were talking just about, we don't know what the future holds with Blackbird designs, whether the patterns will be continuing to be published, or you know, you might really want to get it if it's something you love. So I had intended to get this for my birthday, and I just got it a little bit sooner. The Winds of Autumn has 12 projects, and I've wanted to do that crow since I saw it. So I was so happy to see this book released, but I held off and waited till almost August for my birthday. So went ahead and grabbed that. And then this one, I know Kim Goldman did in a long strip, and I'm gonna copy you, Kim, because I want to do that as well. I really like this sampler on the back. I don't think I'll do Jesus on the cross. I might do a cross though. So I might be bugging you about that, Kim, but I love the colors. They're a little bit more of a pinky red, and they're kind of more of a smaller horizontal sampler, so I seem to kind of prefer that size. The other pattern I wanted to share with you was a sweet gift from my friend Frankie. She just continues to spoil me. She sent me some more threads, some more floss that I will share with y'all. I'm not going to be doing any giveaways during this video, but in the future. I love her floss, and she is stepping out as a designer. So she sent me this pattern. I think she said there's going to be a new series of Halloween ones, and this is one that is listed on her Etsy shop. I'll try to link it below. I think it's really cute. I love shoes, and witches' shoes are so sweet. So I might be trying to do that one. It's only got a few colors, and it's not very big. So thank you so much, Frankie. And she also had this kind of village scene with a moon. So lots of cute things, and you're doing such a great job, Frankie. Thank you so much for sharing that with me, and let her also share a giveaway with you. I had announced in my last video that Frankie was going to email one viewer a copy of the banjo sampler, and I had done a random comment generator. Oh, it fell. Hang on just a second. I'd done a random comment picker on YouTube and found the, oh, that's not it. Hang on just a second. Okay, sorry, I had everything laid out, but I have quite a pile, so this card got lost momentarily. But I did pick the winner for the banjo cat sampler, and that was Joy Delaney. I will go ahead and comment on your comment. If you can, Joy, email me with your email, and I will pass that along to Frankie. She will be sending you a copy of the sampler in a PDF, and anyone can purchase this on Etsy if you admire it. It is available for sale from Frankie's website, A Wicked Stepmother, but I will link that below. The other books that I received at the Southern Baptist Convention as kind of swag for being a pastor's wife, it was nice. I picked a winner for the Sheila Walsh book called Praying Women. And this book is going to Mary Lou W. Mary Lou, your comment was so kind. Thank you so much. And this book will be shipped out to you soon. The other one was a study of Exodus by Jen Wilkin, a local Bible study teacher to me here in the Fort Worth Metroplex area, and someone I greatly admire, and that goes to Judy Brown. So Judy Brown, if you will email me your address, I will mail that. And also Mary Lou, if you would send me your address, I will send out those books media rate. So they might take a little bit longer, but they should come to you. And thank you again for your support of my channel and your kind comments. I had so many nice comments to look through, and enjoy that so much for my last video. And I will have some giveaways coming up, but with what's been happening with my family, I don't want to commit to anything right now. I don't know what my schedule will hold in the future. So let me show you real quickly. The cross stitch camp has one more month of challenges, and I am either going to stitch the jar I showed you from the Housewives, Stitching with the Housewives. This honey jar also has another free pattern. It's not pictured, but it's charted here. The Pick Your Own Sunflowers. I know Priscilla's still stitching it, so I either will work on this one or my bear from the Snowflower Diaries Joyful World Sal. This is a free chart that I have admired for several years, so I'm thinking about stitching this one. And the challenge is use a floss or fabric you've never used before. I purchased these flosses here. They are silks from XJU Design. This was a Halloween kind of pack from Kitten Stitcher, and I got it last year. I know I've seen the bigger one of these still on her site. So if you're interested, I know that I think Judas, I don't know her name, the designer, the dyer, also sells her flosses on Etsy. So this is very nice silk. It's really pretty, and I wasn't sure what I would use it on, but I think I can pick out some of these for flowers and leaves. So, and maybe save this for some pumpkins. So those are my plans coming up. I will, like I said, kind of list out a typed version of what's been going on with our family. It's been a really difficult, trying time, but I know that Christ is in control and that I can trust him no matter what. So as I end all of my videos, Psalm 90:17 says, "May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands." Thanks so much for watching.
There were also other boats with him. Furious
squall, and that's a storm,
came up, and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly
swamped. In other words, it almost sank.
Jesus was in the stern,
back of the boat,
sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind and said to the waves, Quiet,
be still.
Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and waves obey him."